welcome to this epic disaster. How are you? Start over. Why?
That was horrible.
That was great. That was the best start I've ever had. How's it going out there? How are you feeling? How's this week going for you, everybody? See, it's still great. It's like the greatest introduction I've ever done.
It's okay. Well, you asked a question. How are we doing? Were you talking to me? Or are you talking to them?
I know. I was talking to the people, but how are you doing?
I'm phlegmy.
Phlegmy.
Yes.
I can't tell if I'm getting over. So we had, I don't even know what we had. It was like a cold kind of thing. Well, mine turned into bronchitis.
So did mine, and I haven't had bronchitis in
years. And it kind of went away to like 10%.
And it just
stopped.
Won't go away.
No, it's like I'm going to stay at 10%.
Yes, that's the phlegm I'm speaking of.
And then now we're getting all of this stuff about this new virus that's coming out. And so I don't know if I've got an old thing or a new thing. I really don't know.
Do you know, half of us could have already had it by now and gotten over it and been fine.
And we don't even know. If only there was a way we could know things.
We need an expert.
What a great setup. So we actually brought in an expert today. We have an expert, a medical person with us today to talk about the coronavirus.
This coronavirus. The name is not coronavirus. Would people please stop saying that?
COVID-19. All right, so I forgot how we introduce. It's Nurse
CJ.
Nurse CJ is with us. I don't know why.
You're like, who is this person in my studio?
Let's introduce Nurse. Oh, you get the applause ready there.
Oh, sorry.
Let's introduce. Do you got it?
Yeah.
Let's introduce Nurse CJ. Yay. Thank you. You bring a little close. There you go. Nurse CJ, how are you? Thanks for coming onto our show.
I'm well.
We won't contaminate you. We have decontaminated everything that you're touching. That you're not going to have to worry about it.
Not really. Actually, we didn't.
No, we did with alcohol.
Yeah.
It just I spilled a beer.
Tito's.
I spilled a beer on it a few minutes ago, so it's been completely decontaminated.
Except
so
now
what I hear is I can lick everything on the desk and I'll be fine.
If you do that, you will be at home here on the podcast.
Yes.
Because that's the kind of stuff that we do. We invited Nurse CJ onto our show because we want to talk about the coronavirus. It's COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. That's why we did it. Because there's just so much crazy freaking information that's going on.
And a lot of it is wrong.
Yeah, and so I kind of thought we needed to clarify.
Mm-hmm. And since I know everything about it, but I'm not actually an expert, we got an actual expert here. This Nurse CJ.
That's correct. We do a live beer review.
What are we reviewing today?
Today, because we are doing the coronavirus, we are reviewing Corona.
Corona Familiar.
Do you know anything about this beer?
No, other than I'm probably not going to like it.
I'm not a fan of Corona.
It is not familiar.
It's not familiar.
But it is familiar. It's not familiar, yet it is.
La cerveza más fina.
So that's what we're going to review today. Corona, while we talk about
this
Corona.
Coronavirus.
Oh, you know what we didn't bring up here?
What?
Limes.
We can't have a coronavirus without Lyme.
Lyme disease. Well, okay. At least it's not a screw-off top.
No, it's not.
We don't have a lot of screw-off tops. Do you remember the first time you got a non-screw-off top and you wrecked your fingers trying to screw it off?
Yes. I also remember as a child, because I drank as a child. As a teenager, anyways. Yes. I was about 12, and I thought I was being fancy. And I was going to take a non-screw-off, or I was going to take the top off a beer with my teeth. Mm-hmm. And I did it really fast, and it hurt like nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I felt really, really stupid.
All right. This might be the lightest color beer that we've had on this show. It is barely yellow. I mean, it's almost clear.
No, remember we did we did review Bud Light once, which I thought was a mistake.
But I don't think it was this light. This is like the lightest color.
It is
beer.
the color of urine.
Yes.
It is. We often say we have potty beer.
It's potty beer.
This is potty that from someone who's drank a lot of water. Ooh, it's kind of got a soury smell. You're not going to like this beer? Now, I admit I'm having some coffee here.
You're not going to like it at all.
I need to put it down so it doesn't taint my taste.
I'll just stick
Taste
to
my
my
taint.
my
Whatever. I don't know.
gin over here.
No. I can't taste it. It just tastes like water.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to stop drinking my coffee.
And what's your first impression, Nurse CJ?
I think you will find it still tastes like water.
Watery. Very watery beer.
Water.
I did have a patient one time who was a very funny kid, and he was an oncology patient, and he was supposed to give us urine sample. And he came in and, brought his, I gave him the cup, and he went into the bathroom and came back and set it on the bedside table. And the oncologist came in and said, "Oh, yeah, okay, see your urine over there, everything else going okay?" The kid goes, "Yeah, it's pretty good." He picks it up, he said, "I think I just need to filter it again. It looks a little concentrated." He drank it. Unbeknownst to us, he had slipped himself a little cup of apple juice.
Oh, okay. Apple juice.
That's why we check your temperature of your urine when we're really serious about
Yep.
it.
I used to
freak everybody out.
I used to do like job-based drug testing. Just worked in the facility that did the collections, and yeah, the actual cups that they had to pee in had a thermometer on it, so that you could see the immediate.
I hate that though. I can't pee on command, and when I have to go somewhere and then they give you the cup and they're like, "Go on there and pee," and then I'm like, I can't. I'm not just stand there forever.
Well, even worse, some of these clients where I worked had to be monitored while.
Oh.
So somebody's standing there watching you.
Do they actually watch you do it?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That's illegal.
I think it might be now.
Can I have that job?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that reminds me, because what would they do? Because I read one time where somebody actually had like a hose hooked up where they could like pee someone else's urine.
And that's why we check the temperatures, because they'll have a bag of someone else's urine attached to their body to try and get it to the proper temperature.
Yeah.
But you never can get it to the proper temperature.
All right, so that sounds extreme.
Yes.
I can top that. I was watching the ID channel.
Oh,
and they're taking DNA from a doctor, and he has implanted in his arm a tube which he has filled with someone else's blood, and he makes sure that they take the blood from that tube, and when they do, it's someone else's blood, so his DNA never matches up.
How in the hell did he do that?
Well, I don't know, but one nurse finally was just like, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like an actual vein.
Yeah.
And then when she got it, she was like, the blood was too dark. It just didn't seem right. So she kind of told on him.
Yeah.
But the early tests, can you imagine?
No.
This guy actually putting a tube in with blood. That's crazy.
Disgusting.
I guess, if you're trying to get out of prison, maybe it's okay, but
Sure.
I don't know.
I wouldn't do it. Wouldn't be my first choice. But speaking of tubes in arms, just quick note: did you know that men who are unfortunately don't have a penis yet?
Wait a minute. Wait, hold. What? Stop.
Transgender.
Oh, so men who don't have one yet.
That's what I just said.
Okay.
And they're having their sex reassignment or gender reassignment surgery.
Got you.
Like a friend of mine in the past actually grew his penis on his arm. They stuck a tube in his forearm, and then he went back like 3 months later, and they cut off the tissue that had built there, and then that was his penis.
You don't want to shake his hand.
I mean, it wasn't a penis yet.
Oh, so they just formulated. He grew the skin.
He grew the flesh and yes.
A lot of times, if you have to have a craniotomy, take your skull, literally just pack it in your abdomen until you're ready to have it reattached.
Yeah.
Just leave it in there.
Just store it right in there.
I mean, I have a lot of storage myself, so I could put all kinds of things in my abdomen.
You could make a giant penis. I don't know what that means.
I could make a penis giant.
Hey, that's a what if you went into business growing penises for other people? You could sell your skin. You could get as fat as you wanted, and then you could sell it you could sell penises.
The whole reason that
the penis queen.
The whole reason that he grew his own penis is so that it would match. I can't grow your penis anymore. I can't grow your penis for you anymore.
But Ray Wiley would write a song about it. Instead of Snake Farm, it would be Penis Farm.
Penis Farm. That could be my nickname if I did that.
Sex Farm Woman. Yeah,
I'm not sure I'd want that nickname.
No,
Penis
no one
Farm?
wants that nickname. Penis Farm.
But I promise somebody already has it on a domain somewhere.
That was the girl I went to prom with.
Oh, yeah, let's get that on GoDaddy. Penisfarm.com.
Penis Farm.
Owned
Oh,
by
God.
Ray Wiley.
Let's play a little Would You Rather.
Okay, so Would You Rather is where you drop a colored stone, and that colored stone coincides with a color on a card, which is basically just a Would You Rather question.
Let's let Nurse CJ go. No, we should do it so she kind of knows
yeah.
how to do this.
And how silly
Do
the
you want me to do it, or are you going to do it?
You go first, I'll read
I'll
first.
drop my blue stone. I feel like
You're not psychic. It's not blue.
Dr. Blue
Stop
Stone.
it. It's red.
Red
Okay.
as in blood, as in...
The red category stands for... Oops, I pulled 2 cards out. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. Put that back.
That's a long category.
Thank you
So
for
long.
that. So the red category is pain, fear, and discomfort.
Okay, I have all those.
Okay. So would you rather, for a year, have to watch bowling tournaments
I used to do that. Okay.
or psychic... Hold on. Where's my glasses? Psychic hotline confessions.
Speaking of psychic, I'm going to go with the psychic hotline confessions.
You're not psychic.
I'm going to prove right now how psychic that I am. I'm cutting these cards and
And making loud boom sounds.
cutting the cards. All right, here we go. I'm going to say 3 of spades is on the top. What do you think?
No, I don't think it's 3
See,
of
here's
spades.
the thing. If it shows up, you would accuse me of fraud.
Of course I would. See, it's the queen.
It was close. I got the
Spades
spades
were
part.
right.
Spades were right. I mean, you're half psychic,
I
like
was
most
just-
of us.
I was expecting it to be written in crayon.
No.
3 of spades.
All right, wait a minute.
O spades.
See what the
If-
second
Right.
one is.
Since it's March, 3 O spades.
3 O
All right.
spades.
I'm going with the psychic thing. Psychic. Although I used to watch bowling when I was a kid. You remember the guy? He's dead now. Chris. Now I can't think of his last name. Who was the announcer for bowling? No one knows this. All right. okay.
Why would we know this?
He had such a great voice.
You were watching bowling for the ASMR effect?
No, it wasn't ASMR. I don't know how to explain it, but he had a very unique voice, and it kind of defined my Sundays and Saturdays.
You know, that's like that show LA
something.
Confidential. Or no, City Confidentials. That old show, City Confidentials.
Yeah.
The narrator on there had an awesome voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He died, but he's actually on an episode of, I believe, Seinfeld, and he did some other things, and then he died, and then they got a new guy who I never liked, even though I loved the old guy.
Yeah.
And then there's a new show, and I can't think of the name of it, but they've got an announcer it's very similar to him, but it also sounds a little bit like Christopher Guest.
Okay.
This is very random.
Yes.
But then, and then now, and this is a beef I have, and this is why I'm telling this story.
Uh-oh. Rick Grant.
Forensic Files 2.
Yes.
You know, they got it, they updated. They had Forensic Files.
Right.
The narrator on Forensic Files was one of the best.
And I've been watching
Peter
it on
Thomas.
Netflix because they've got like 12
Yeah.
seasons on Netflix.
Peter Thomas, great. He was, but you know, he died, he was like 90 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
He had such a smooth voice, but he was actually a really old man.
Okay. Old men can have smooth voices. Clearly
Sometimes.
not all of them.
Not all of them, sometimes. But they're doing Forensic Files 2. I don't like the narrator.
You don't like
I don't
it?
like the new narrator at all.
Oh.
He sounds like he's trying to sound like the
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
from
Yeah.
City Confidential.
Yep.
And the great part about the old Forensic Files was the guy was so smooth, and he would be telling the story, and it kind of added a creep factor to it.
It did
because he's talking
he would
about
get
all this.
animated. Like he'd be like, and then she ran to the door. Like
Yeah.
he would actually try and emote that.
The new
feeling.
guy sounds like he's yelling, and he just doesn't. It doesn't work. I want him to change. I want him to change the narrator. Anyway, that's a little random. Anyway, go ahead. Did you drop your stone?
We're gonna go back to our game. It is now Nurse CJ's turn,
Let's go back to our
and
game.
she has dropped the red.
Another
stone
red one.
that you thought you. I'm gonna read.
Wow,
For her.
I think that it's. Oh, you're reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have these been sanitized?
No, I put them in my mouth.
That'll
And-
work.
Okay.
She sucked all of them.
I sucked them all.
That works.
I did not just say that out loud. You're gonna pull that for like a sound bite or something, aren't you?
Why would I do that?
Okay, so wait, what color did you drop?
Red.
Red. Okay, sorry. It's been a minute. So
Wouldn't it be
that's-
weird if we all dropped red?
once again, the red category is pain, fear, and discomfort.
Yes.
So would you rather, Nurse CJ, would you rather, I keep wanting to say Nurse Jackie, but that's not right.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you rather experience constant genital pain during sex?
Ooh, that's fun.
I mean, some people are into that.
Sorry.
Right? Some people are into that. Or would you rather, whenever you urinate, experience pain?
This is a great question for
It's
a nurse.
all-
This
it's
is a
all-
nurse question.
Around that
I gotta
particular
say, the
area?
second one, I think, is a very frequent presentation to emergency departments and health departments.
Yes.
And it also coincides frequently with females' middle age. So I'm going to go with the second one.
You're going
I
to go
don't
with
know.
the second one.
Who-
All right.
Who's
Second
like,
one.
no. I want the constant genital pain during sex. Why would anyone want that?
Because if you don't have sex, then you'd never be in pain.
But some
But
people like
that's a
painful
problem.
sex. Some
That's
people
a-
are into painful sex.
Not
Yeah.
constantly, I wouldn't think. And plus, I think that's probably controlled. You know, you don't want. Some people want a little, and I know a few of those who want a little tiny bit of pain in their sex, and sometimes maybe more. But you don't want to have sex with somebody who's forking you in the eye with a fork. You don't want that.
No.
No.
No, I wouldn't
No
like
one-
that.
I don't think. I mean, a few people.
Because you only have
There
two
are
eyes.
there are movies made about those people. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're
Silence of the Lambs and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
and then you say, what are you forking doing?
What
What
are you forking doing?
You're forking my eye and forking my. Never mind.
Never
It's-
mind.
Next.
But I just think that that would be no. You wouldn't want to have sex.
No, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't take that. But then again, no one asked me for it.
No, we asked
Oh,
Nurse
drop
CJ and
the
we
red.
got her answer.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can force you to drop red with
Okay.
my mind.
Okay.
All right.
Mind control
I'm
now?
thinking of the mind, although I really feel like yours is going to be purple. Blue. Yours is blue.
Yeah.
You blew it. All right.
I mean, red and blue.
Should I
Yeah,
should
red
I
and
read
blue
it?
would have been purple.
Yeah.
Should I read yours?
Please,
Here we
put your
go.
glasses
Blue
on.
is what is blue?
Well, you have the card in front of you.
Appearance and embarrassment. All right. Would you
I am
rather?
often embarrassed by my appearance.
Would you rather have to spend a day at the office with soiled underwear that reeks?
Oh my God! No.
Again? Or a week in a snowbound airport with no change of clothes?
I've done that 2 nights in Seattle Airport, but it wasn't snowbound. It was because I was on my way to Anchorage, and the Mount Redoubt blew. So the volcano, Mount Redoubt,
Yeah.
blew. So air travel was shut down going that direction because of all the ash in the air. So I was stuck in the Seattle Airport for 2 nights. I was only 14 years old. 15 years old, and I slept in the airport by myself, ate in the airport, everything, waiting to get on a goddamn plane to take me to Anchorage. Because I only had like a week and a half of vacation.
Again, who's going to pick the soiled underwear?
I don't know, because
Somebody's like, yeah, I
Yep,
really
nope,
want to do
there's-
that one.
Yep, nope,
There's-
there is.
Go to
There's
work,
a
go to work in my
subpopulation.
soiled underwear. Mhm.
Maybe
there
that's-
are people.
Maybe that's part of their job.
Yeah,
And so
maybe.
they're already dressed.
All right. Well, that's another would you rather. What I would rather is let's talk about what do we call it? What are we calling it?
We're calling it the novel coronavirus,
Uh-huh.
or we're calling it COVID.
Since we're sponsored this week by
COVID-19.
Corona and not officially sponsored, we're doing a Corona beer. I think it's just what people talk about. All right, so I think how long have we been known about this? A month?
No, well, they've known about it since late last year.
No, I mean how like media. How long have we really known about
Oh.
it? I mean, I know it's been going on in China for a while, but you know, there was just people were talking about it, and it was just like one of those things that was over there, and people were saying it's going to grow
Over there.
and then now
It's everywhere.
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's here. It's in Atlanta.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. It's here.
So but I guess my question is, how long has it taken to go from just a thing way over there to now here next to you? You know,
It's been we've known about it for at least 6 weeks.
At least early February,
Okay.
because my wife was on a cruise in the South China Sea when it all broke open.
Oh, wow.
Good times.
Good times.
on a cruise in the South China Sea. Now, were they quarantined?
So, somewhat. They left actually from Guam, and when they got to their first port, it was closed. I believe that was in Vietnam.
Okay.
It was closed. Every other port they went to was closed. So I never thought I would get to say they were tooling just around the South China Sea until 2 weeks were up. And so my wife was literally on a slow boat to China.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
Yeah, and so they had to check temperatures twice a day. I told her rectal was most accurate. She did not fall for that.
It's also the most fun.
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
By strangers lined up in a row on a cruise ship. But everybody understood if anybody had a temperature that they had to check twice a day. If anybody spiked a temperature, the entire boat was quarantined.
Now, what's the deal? Well, let's.
And so you're telling me that on a cruise ship of people stuck on a cruise ship together, didn't nobody have a temperature?
Nobody had a temperature. They were fortunate, but they started in Guam instead of starting in the hotbed anywhere in sort of Southeast Asia.
Okay. And I mean, I wouldn't even think they'd have a temperature because of this particular virus. I would think they just had a temperature because there's a bunch of people locked up in a ship together, you know, somebody's going to get something.
Right. Or a hot flash, and it was an unfortunate time of day. You had to go get your temperature checked.
Right.
All right, so let's kind of try to demystify it just a little bit. Because there's a little bit of so today I think it was declared a pandemic, right?
Yes, today by the World Health Organization.
But even still, like from what I have heard about it, it is not it's something to respect, it's something to be aware of, but it's not something to be afraid of right now.
Depending on your comorbidities or your setup for that, right?
Okay.
If you're elderly,
which I am. I'm elderly.
No, you're not.
You're not that elderly.
You're not elderly.
You're not of that demographic elderly.
I like how instead of like, no, you're not elderly, it's like, you're not that elderly.
Right.
So.
Well, you are senior citizen at this point.
Only because AARP says so.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they say you are at 45, but anyway.
Right.
But I'm not octogenarian. I'm not a septuagenarian. I'm a what is it? Cinco de Mayo. I'm a Cinco de Mayo generic.
With your Corona beer.
Yes.
I love it. Okay.
It's Mexican theme.
So let's let Nurse CJ continue.
No. But if you are in a at-risk population, which is you are immunocompromised, so you are currently undergoing a chemotherapy, you are a newborn under 6 weeks of age, and even then we don't know sort of how it interacts with you. So maternal child health is really sort of still a to be determined at this point as of today. And then the next part would be if you are elderly with chronic lung issues like COPD or asthma or any of these other pulmonary issues that people might have. Those are the people that are struggling the most with the way the virus has changed, because now my understanding is there's 2 different ones. Like it has already morphed.
It's multiplying.
That's what it does. That's what they do. They grow and they change just like humans.
Right. Right. But they don't have to read books.
Right.
Now,
right. Like there's no Brene Brown involved in their changing and evolving.
What if you just got over a sickness and you got some bronchitis kind of stuff? Does that make it more dangerous?
Probably not.
Less? Your immune system is up. You can fight it off.
It's about the same, and I think we really underestimate the power of our body's immune system and taking care of. And listen, as I have a glass of wine in my left hand and a beer in my right hand.
Oh,
well, I've got the gin and the beer going.
There you go.
I have Irish cream coffee and beer. Yeah. That's this show.
So
that's kind of what we do.
At this table, I would say just taking care of yourself in that, everybody keeps saying it, wash your hands, but in that, go eat some kale, give your body a chance to kind of at a cellular level be healthy, boost itself. Don't eat Twinkies every day.
Oh,
your body's going to have, unless you eat them with kale.
Oh, okay. Kale Twinkies.
Wrap them in kale. That's usually how I prefer them.
Twinkie wrap.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That sounds dirty. I like it.
Twinkie wrap sounds dirty.
Because it's so odd, there must be something more to it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but your body's immune system's going to kick in. When it gets a fever, when you get a fever, that's your body, all your macrophages, everything in your white blood cells just coming to the rescue. And it's the cavalry, and your body goes into this hypermetabolic state that burns all this stuff off.
How are you at risk now? Because before it was just like, well, if you've been overseas or if you've been, now it's not that anymore. So, are you just at risk for just living?
Yeah.
Right.
Or are there people that are more at risk than others?
Sure. Of course, if you came from an area that's having a really prolific epidemic area,
Like Italy.
Right. And which is why Italy has just said that's it. They shut down. They're done.
Yeah.
I have a friend who just traveled from Israel to Germany, and they live right on the French-German border, and Germany or France won't let her back in. And so, because they're like, no, everybody just needs to stop and just hang out. And it's not so much because everybody's going to die of this, right? It's not that morbid. It's that we've got to just stop the spread of this thing because there are such vulnerable populations out there that we want to protect them. And look at what it's doing to the economy, right? Stores are shutting down when people are sick. It's sort of like when it's March Madness.
Yeah.
It's not so much
in the United States, right? Everything slows down. Our economy does a little bit of a dip.
It's not so much the virus, though. That's just misinformation about the virus, right?
Well, no.
I mean, toilet paper companies are like, yeah.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah,
like, what does that have to do with anything?
They're boosting.
Totally other end of the body.
I know. What does that have anything to do with? Unless you use toilet paper to blow your nose.
I think people are in America are just so conditioned when a tragedy happens to go buy toilet paper and milk. And they don't know what else to do.
I read an article on it today, and basically, it's they were talking to a psychologist, and the psychologist said you could almost chalk that up to a form of retail therapy, which is basically taking control back when you have none over something.
Yeah.
So people who are stocking up on things, it's because they don't know what else to do. They have no other control.
It's still dumb.
Means it is. I mean, I agree with you, but if it makes them feel better,
I mean, you don't go. Why not go buy eggs? I mean, why are they buying toilet paper?
Yeah, that's
I don't
a little
get
odd.
that.
That's an odd one. I'm not sure what triggered the toilet paper thing, but
well, I think if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're quarantined, you can do without eggs.
Yeah. If you don't want to leave the house,
do without toilet paper.
This is true. I mean, that makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense.
And I think a lot of it also came from at the beginning. We didn't know that it wasn't spread through physical contact, and so people didn't know if we're getting shipments of things because we all live so lockstep in this world anymore. That if I'm getting my toilet paper from China, which is very likely, is it contaminated with coronavirus? Right?
Okay.
And so then those shipments might stop. And what are toilet paper is one of those things you really would like to have. You can do without bread.
Yeah.
Toilet paper comes from China?
Toilet paper
Everything
comes from China, including
realize
novel coronavirus.
My toilet paper came from China.
Maybe. So what you were saying about industries kind of shutting down and losing money, I have a friend, and I won't go into details, but she works within the airline industry. And she's been with this particular company for about 20 years. And she told me today, I was talking to her on the phone, and she said that nothing has affected the airline industry like this since 9/11.
Right, I heard that too, yeah.
And not SARS, not MERS, not H1N1, none of it. But and I believe personally that it is media related. People aren't traveling. Now, to your point, you would prefer some self-quarantining just to stop the spread of the virus.
Right.
Got that. But, I mean, if you're people are losing jobs, they're losing money, hand over fist. Airlines, they make a lot of money. And here they are they can't make money because nobody's using the airlines. And I think it's a little bit overblown. I could understand why they were affected in 9/11 for obvious reasons because nobody knew what was going on and whatnot. But here, it's like, if you think about it, an airplane is probably a pretty safe place to be if you use if all airlines use the disinfectant that they're supposed to use every time.
Well, the challenge is you're in such tight quarters with people that they've even shown people who sit in aisle seats are more likely to get sick than people who sit in the window seats. Like they have it down to that granular
Wow.
of a level when it comes to airline respiratory safety. Right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because there's more people that pass you in the aisle, and just even that, I would like to say 10 feet, but we all know airline seats, even that 25 centimeters makes a difference between a window seat and an aisle seat.
But like, okay, so I guess yesterday Pearl Jam canceled their tour that they're doing.
Lots of tours are being canceled or
Coachella.
postponed.
Democratic, not debates, but what do they call them? Rallies are being canceled. Not Republican, because Trump says that it doesn't exist. Apparently.
Right.
But what else? Festivals are now canceling. Coachella,
Yeah.
Big Ears Festival in Knoxville just canceled. So, what are the chances you're going to get the coronavirus in a festival or at because aren't they saying that most of the people who get it are really old?
No,
they're elderly.
No. Most of the people who are dying from
Are
it
elderly.
are elderly.
Yeah.
The challenge is it is a pandemic based on the numbers we know,
Yeah.
not the numbers we don't know of how many people have had this COVID-19 who it was mild, they felt fine, they just had a little cough, maybe a little wheezing, wasn't a big deal, and they went on about their time, and it turns out they had it. And when you talk about festivals like a Coachella that bring a worldwide audience to them, that is just waiting for a massive outbreak.
So it's a good idea to cancel.
It absolutely
Dang
is.
it.
But here's the thing, y'all. This is going to get better.
Yeah,
It's
well,
going to get
that's
better, and then the economy is going to come back.
That's what Trump said.
And it likely, right?
He did.
I think Trump said it's never really going to come.
Right.
Right. I
Like
think
him.
that was,
Yeah.
Like the visit, which killed rush hour traffic on Friday.
Yeah.
So, so it's going to come, but it's going to get better. We've all been through Zika, right?
Yeah.
We've all been through SARS. We've all been through MERS. We've all been through Justin Bieber's younger years, right? We will
That
make
was
it
tough.
through this as well.
They still don't have a
Still continues.
vaccination for that.
For Bieber.
So speaking of vaccination, there is no vaccination, right?
Not yet.
Or what's the word? Not vaccination.
Immunization.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Do you think do they have it planned? Do they know?
They're working on it, but the challenge is you have to really understand what you're dealing with. And it takes so many studies to say, did it really work? What's the incubation period? That didn't work. Let's go back to the table. It takes so many iterations to make sure that these vaccines are safe, that chances are by the time we get one, it's going to be over. And it seems like they started on this right when it first erupted out of China.
Yeah.
And so once it erupted out of China, it was really scary because healthy people were dying over there. But there was so much secrecy around it that CDC, World Health Organization, they were all just waiting to be invited in to help, and they weren't. And so there was so much that we didn't know and so much misinformation.
Yeah.
But they thought, let's at least the people we do know and have access to who have had it, let's get started on a vaccine. But, I mean, when you go to your doctor annually to get your flu shot, do they also say, well, here's your SARS shot, and here's your MERS immunization, and here's...
They don't.
Okay,
and I just want to make a point here really quick for people listening who are super afraid of this particular COVID-19 is this year alone, over 20,000 people of this flu season have already died from flu. Only about, what is it that we know of, only about less than 5,000 have died from this worldwide. Yeah. And
Much
that number,
less than.
that 20,000, that's Americans.
Yeah.
That's here in this country.
And we could stand to lose a few.
Oh, we can stand a few, more than a few. Trust me.
That's wrong. Well,
Wait,
now
I got my list.
I did hear an interview with a guy who had it. He was quarantined. He was talking about it, and he was just like, I feel fine.
Yeah.
It's a pain. It's like it's one of the most mild colds that I've had, or viruses, whatever that I've had.
Right.
And he understood that why he had to be quarantined. But they wouldn't let him out unless he tested. I think it's like had to test negative 3 times. And so I guess he got out. I'm assuming.
I think they have it now. You have to test negative twice in 24 hours.
Okay.
Since your fever stopped.
So I have 2 questions. One just bugs the crap out of me, but one I just don't understand why. I'll start with that one first. Why are there so many people in Italy? That's like the number one. It started in China. Why are the Italians?
They don't know. My understanding is they've not, and feel free absolutely to stand corrected.
Maybe like they touch people, touch each other more. They're more physical.
Lick each other
they
a
lick
lot.
on their faces.
Italians lick each other more.
Actually, one common way of saying hello in Italy is to actually put your tongue in someone's nose.
Yes.
It is not.
It is.
You're
It's
lying.
very
But they do kiss each other on the cheek a lot. So I'm just saying the Italians are a lot more free and a little more physical than Americans anyway.
I
would think.
suspect it probably has more to do. Here, let me make up my own theory.
Okay, let's do that because we need more theories.
Here is my theory by
Scary.
CJ.
It's
I
the
think
Pope.
there
That's what
were
you're going to tell
flight
me.
attendants who jumped from flights
yeah.
in China
Ah.
who jumped onto European flights not knowing they were spreading the love.
They
And maybe
were-
there was a more concentrated
So what we're
number.
so the
I mean,
real
we just
problem.
don't really know.
So
Yeah.
flight attendants aren't washing their hands. That's what this is telling us.
Exactly.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
Or they don't use their elbow for the proper sneeze.
Mm-hmm. They just sneeze right on top of people.
Nothing says, would you like peanuts or some COVID-19 with your Diet Coke?
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my
it's
wife to
diet,
cover
though.
her mouth when she sneezes. My wife has the
Nice
loudest.
elbow cover.
Thank you.
My wife has the loudest sneeze of any person I've ever.
Your wife has a sneeze that scares the shit out of me
Okay.
every fucking time I hear it. Like I
You should
jump
hear it
out
at-
of my skin.
You should hear it at 3 a.m. when you're sleeping.
Now I have, but not right next to me. Like
It-
I've stayed over here before upstairs, and I can hear her when I'm dead asleep sneezing downstairs.
If someone had a large knife and came in and attacked her in the middle of the night and stabbed her, it wouldn't be as loud as when she sneezes.
Yeah, she
And
doesn't
it wakes
sneeze
me
like
up.
that.
It wakes me up, and I'm just like, "What happened? What happened?" And then I realize she just sneezed.
And she normally has 2 sneezes.
And I said, "Can you put a pillow over your face, or
That's
or,
called smothering.
or
Let's
sneeze
not do that.
into the blanket or something?"
Are we
You
now
have-
sponsored by Discovery ID?
Right.
I'm just like,
Just
and
happened
and
here.
so now with this
Back to
thing, and
forensic
she works at a
files.
hospital, so there's a possibility she's contaminated.
Oh, sure she is.
She needs to cover.
She totally is.
All right, so this brings me to my next question. This is what I don't understand. How is it that masks don't help?
Well,
I would think logically they would help.
yeah, no, not so much. Well, they help a couple people. There are a couple people that should be wearing the masks.
Okay.
Number one, medical staff who are caring for known patients. And there's only one mask that works. And that particular mask filters out such tiny particles like tuberculosis and the novel coronavirus, right? So there's lots of different ones. It's sort of a generic. The next one that'll be coming out will be the novel coronavirus. Then we'll call it COVID, whatever number they want then. So healthcare workers on the front lines working with patients, first responders, etc., they should have these masks, right?
Okay.
The number 2 people that should have these masks, depending on which school you belong to, are Deadpool, DC versus Marvel comic characters should be wearing masks.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
Batman is just not as scary without his mask.
That's right.
Huh?
He's actually, depending on who's playing him, he's kind of sexy
That's true.
or
Well-
hideous.
I'm a Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool. I mean, he's
Oh.
Batman. We don't have time.
So what I read was that the masks should be worn by people who have it, not people who are trying to get rid of it.
Well, but define the mask, right? There's a lot
mean, like,
of
yeah.
masks, right? These celebrities are on Instagram with their super fancy masks, which all it's doing is making you wear a super fancy mask because it's not filtering out anything. If you are sick, wear a mask. If you have coronavirus, they will provide you with the correct mask to wear when you are being transported to different places. Like in Georgia, people who can't quarantine were sticking in the corner of a state park. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, we're sticking them over in the corner of the state park, and then they're just hanging out at the state park doing s'mores and marshmallows and whatever
Nice.
until their 2
Camping
weeks
trip.
are up. Absolutely, absolutely,
Nice. That's awesome.
it's true. And something to consider, not for nothing. The other people who should be wearing masks who cannot get their hands on them now are our friends and families in Nashville, whose homes from the 30s and 40s were full of asbestos, were blown away by a tornado, they're going through everything, trying to salvage anything that's left of their homes, breathing in all of this asbestos because they can't get their hands on any masks.
And the masks that people are wearing that aren't working to filter out COVID-19 would filter out asbestos.
Because asbestos is a big molecule, big particle.
When I got sick, I was serving on grand jury, and I wanted to wear a mask so I didn't infect other people, and I couldn't find them. They didn't exist.
They're not available.
And now they still are not available. So it's been weeks and weeks and weeks, and you still can't get them.
Right.
Now, I have several friends on Facebook, several Facebook friends who are wearing masks and doing this stuff when it doesn't help. But one of my friends said her doctor said it was okay to wear a mask. I think the doctor was like, whatever, do it.
Just do it.
Do you want an interesting fact about those masks?
No.
Yes.
Of course we do.
It's us girls talking right here.
You just hush.
Anyway,
yes.
Many of those masks are actually manufactured in
China.
Wuhan.
Oh, in Wuhan. Right there where we first knew about this.
Yes. So this world, we are so connected.
Yeah, I did read about that.
I have an interesting point, too. I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day who happens to be HIV positive. And he takes immuno boosters. And he says he's probably safer than most people.
Probably.
Because of those immuno boosters. And the fact of the matter is as long as I've known him, I've been sick. I get sick a lot. I've been sick probably 4 or 5 times, and he's only been sick once.
Well, and remembering, when you get sick, your body actually stores the memory of what made you sick, so it can remember how to fight it off if you're exposed to it again.
That's not what my body does. My body stores the memory of the sickness just so it can continue to remind me every couple months
of how awful it was.
Yes.
My body's memory is old. It forgets everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. It can't remember what the sickness it had yesterday.
My body does that thing where it's like you're laying in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and your brain says, hey, you remember that thing you did in the 3rd grade that made you really stupid embarrassed and you never got over it? My body does the same thing with like illness. Hey, remember when you were super sick? Let's do that again. Oh. So yeah, I get sick a lot.
Well, what's the bottom line on this? What are we gonna leave our listeners with? Are we scared? How do we fix it? What do we do? How do we protect ourselves?
Actually,
what should we say?
Let's not end with that. I have one more question for you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
We're not
done
ending
with her yet. Hold on. Let me get my question.
I still have a drink. We can keep going.
I still have alcohol in front of me.
Just as you're pulling that up, just FYI. So when you talk about sort of how scary is it everywhere, World Health Organization sets sort of the world standard guidelines. And then for us here in the United States, CDC follows those guidelines and then works with those guidelines to tailor them to the United States and sort of our biome here in the U.S. and our culture. And there are 3 different levels of warning, much like a tornado warning system, right? And there is watch, which is level 1. There is an alert, which is level 2. And there's warning, which is level 3, which is like, danger, Will Robinson sort of level. There are only a few countries that are anywhere on those 3 lists. Hong Kong is a watch level 1. Japan is a level 2, and a watch level 1 just means just be aware, wash your hands, take care of yourself. Watch level 2 is saying, hey, if you're at high risk, you might want to avoid travel to these places. It's not a ban, it's not anything. And watch level 3 is only China, South Korea, and Italy.
Okay.
The United States isn't even on the radar for any kind of leveling, at least right now as of 7/19.
We're not trying hard enough.
On Wednesday, March 11th.
We're not trying hard enough. People get out there. Come on.
Day. Well, we in America are overachievers, so.
Yeah, I saw another article today where the chief medical blah blah blah, whomever he is, thinks that this is going to be much deadlier than actual just influenza, than seasonal flu. Oh. He says like a 1% death toll is what he's talking about. That's a whole shit ton of people. Oh, yeah. And
if you're talking worldwide, it's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
But I do also want people to be aware of the racism that is going along with this virus, and people of Asian descent, even with my own within my own company, people who appear to be from anywhere in Asia are being called corona and are being treated horrifically.
Yep.
And we all have a responsibility to stop in because nobody is a virus.
Yeah, you have, because those
This
people
is awful.
those people are going to do it anyway. Those people are racist and they're looking for a reason, and it takes people who are not to step in, because
That's right.
that's what happened with AIDS. And for a long time it was like, that's the gay disease.
Right.
And like half of the 80s was that, really kind of avoiding gay people, putting gay people down because of something we thought, and it's ignorance. It's always ignorance.
It is.
But even if this started in an Asian country, which I don't even know if it did, but even if it did, it's now everybody's problem. So the person, and this is happening, and this is not a judgment, but I'm just saying, a group of people in government who were denying that this was a big deal ended up realizing that they had been exposed to it, and maybe even have it. So it's just like, it isn't someone else's problem.
No.
It's our own problem. But I have a question. Is this, do you want to go ahead with yours?
No, please.
Is this a dress rehearsal for a bigger thing? Are we going to have like a big one of these?
Well, we all know we're overdue with pandemic flu, and here we are, pandemic, right? I don't think this is dress rehearsal. I think we're just going to continue to see these every 5 to 10 years, and that's why we need to listen. That's why Centers for Disease Control and World Health Organization and the Army and EIS, all of these organizations have people stationed in parts of the world where they know the temperatures and the mixture of animals living in close proximity with humans and agriculture, and where they know it's the perfect storm, and so they just sit there and they monitor the health of people. That's how we get our flu vaccine, because then they say this is most likely what the flu is going to be that's going to hit us in the U.S. in 6 months, right? And so sometimes it's a match and sometimes it's not. But that's why, because it's incredibly dynamic. I think this is just the new normal.
Yeah, I agree with you. And so does the movie Contagion.
Do you think it has anything to do with climate change?
I do.
Milder winters maybe letting bacterias and diseases
Grow longer.
Yeah, thrive, survive, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
very
I think
possible.
the things that
Could
fight
be.
them will also fight with it. It's kind of like, what was that show back in the day, The Burning Zone?
The burning zone. Okay, so I have a question. You're a nurse by trade.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you deal with the people that come in completely panicked? Do you just do what you just did for us and just try and explain it? Or do you just, pat them on the head and send them on their way? I mean, how do nurses in general deal with people who are super freaked out about this?
In front of them?
In front of them?
Or on our private Facebook pages.
Either. I want to know both now.
No, I think it absolutely is. It's education, and it's also just understanding why people are freaked out, and watching the media is important, but it also makes you panic if you're somebody who's already predisposed to panicking. So it really is about education, and that is always the only thing that fights fear, is educate yourself. That is all. It doesn't matter what it's about. If it's about cancer, if it's about hypertension, if it's about COVID-19, educate yourself, because that is the only thing we can do to fight fear.
And by educating, you don't mean read memes on Facebook.
Oh, I saw some good ones, though. I mean, it's worth.
Oh, the memes are great.
Yeah, they're absolutely
fantastic.
Fabulous.
There are certain celebrities that I would avoid taking medical advice from.
Like most of them?
Most of them.
I mean, but you can take medical advice from me because I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh.
We are not sponsored
With
by
bed
Holiday
bugs,
Inn.
yeah.
Shut up. I hate you and everything about you.
I just don't know anything about it. I know, I think I'm at risk because my wife works at a hospital, so she could bring stuff home, but I just don't feel like I don't know much about it. I'm not scared. I'm not caught up in the whole whirlwind of information. I read it, I see it, and I'm not panicky about it.
No, nor should you be. And that's the right approach. Because also, if you have a loved one who is a caregiver or works in a hospital, chances are we are colonized with Pandora's box. You don't want to do a nasal swab on us because we are bioterrorism in our nasopharynx, right?
So I could just grow what's in your nose right now and kill the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pinky and the brain. So, yeah. So educate yourself. Just wash your damn hands.
Yeah.
Don't pick your nose. It's tempting. Don't pick your nose.
Don't stick your tongue in other people's noses.
You can wash your hands and then pick your nose. And then wash your hands again, right?
You could if you really had
if you got to get up in there.
Gold medal.
Sometimes you gotta.
If you gotta go
but
get
the
snail.
So here's my problem is like I suffer from allergies, seasonal allergies. So I'm always touching my eyes and rubbing my eyes. And I forget about it. It's hard to not do that.
You're going to get it. You're totally going to get it.
That's okay.
You know what you can do? If you wear contacts instead, wear glasses. Because at least that physical barrier is going to remind you, oh, I was about to touch my eyes. If you have surgical masks sitting at home, again, they're good for nothing. Might as well put your invisible mask on. But
I like my invisible mask. This is my invisible mask.
if you want to wear a mask, the one thing it will do is prevent you from contaminating yourself. So put it on your face so you don't get all your mucous membranes busy with your fingers and your eyeballs. Put your glasses on. Put a bandana around your face when you're around the house. Otherwise, you'll look ridiculous.
Right, yeah.
All right. Are we stocked up with information now? Do we understand this? Do we know what's going on? Do we know how to act and react?
Yes. I know that I need to wash my hands regularly, which is something that I do when I'm out of my house. I tend not to wash my hands that much at home because I'm lazy. But I have started washing my hands at home more often. I need to not let other people stick their fingers in my nose or their tongues. And I don't want anybody licking my eyeballs.
I don't even want to know what's going on in your
attractive.
house.
Well, there's nobody there, so this is all make-believe.
Oh, okay.
Except the cameras.
The cameras.
The cameras are there.
And my invisible friend.
All right. I'm going to change subject just a little bit. I have a question. We're going to close down in a few minutes, but this is something, and it bugs me. I thought of it this week. I saw it yesterday, and I want to know. And I asked you this question, Sherry. I asked, what the hell is going on in spas? When you're you're traveling down the street and down the interstate, down the road, and you see Tokyo Spa.
Okay.
Or a lot of times it's Tokyo Spa. And a lot of times it's named, and I'm not trying to be racist, but it's like Asian Spa, Tokyo Spa, something like that. Paradise Spa. What's going on in the spas?
Mostly massage.
Is it?
Yes.
Just massage?
No, they have steam rooms. They have, some of them have whirlpools. Some of them offer other services.
No adult stuff going on in these spas.
Oh, I'm sure. In some of them,
Well,
but
that's
not
what I'm
all
trying
of
to
them.
figure out.
Most of them are probably
No
very
one-
reputable companies.
Really?
Yes.
You're telling me that these little spas in these little places off the interstate are reputable companies. They're just truckers are going in there just to get a shoulder. Their shoulder hurts.
Well, if I had to sit in a truck all day long, my shoulder would hurt too.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, is that what's going on? Is that it?
Perhaps.
Do we know?
Well,
Have you been?
No, I want to know.
Then go. Find out.
I don't want to go. I've never been to a prostitute. But I feel like, is that what's happening?
Did you just compare a Korean spa to a prostitute?
Not Korea. Tokyo is not in Korea.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe that's what I have been led to believe that these things are. I don't know what they are. I want to know what they are. What goes on? If what is going on is sexual, that's illegal.
What's going on?
No, I'm trying to. I need information. I'm asking a question.
And you think I would know?
Well, I don't know. How would I know if you know unless I ask you?
You already asked me.
Okay, so you're saying you don't? You haven't answered.
Oh, I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know.
From what I have heard, the information I have heard, it is sexual. And a lot of times what's going on is like a sex ring.
Well, you just saw that article about that couple in, what was it, Colorado, who was having people... Unfortunately, they were luring young women from China over to the United States, and then they were forcing them into into sex work.
Well, that happened in Atlanta too.
That's actually not unusual for for a lot of the spas you're talking about.
Right.
But a lot of them are human slavery.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know they're in slavery. Because, well, they're just holding my passport and my money until I can pay them back for my travel, and then I'll be free to go.
But okay,
That never happened.
that makes sense. But no, why would a reputable spa have a slave?
Well, they wouldn't. That would be one of the non-reputable places.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. If they're not hidden. You can't drive down the street and find a big sign that says "Ho, next exit." You can't find that. You can't find prostitute, red light. I mean, in Denmark maybe, but I'm just saying you can find businesses that say spa, and you go and look for the spa, and it's usually kind of small business. So if that's what they're doing, how are they doing it under everybody's nose?
I don't know. Sex is a big business.
Well, I understand that, but again, what I'm getting at is it's not hidden. It's right there. How are they doing it out in the open and they're not being shut down?
Right. Or investigated for human trafficking.
Yeah. I mean, the local police obviously know it. The law enforcement knows it.
I don't know.
A lot of times they're raided.
You're really good at research. Just as a person,
well,
maybe you should start an investigation.
I've thought about it, but I'm just like, what if I go in and start asking questions, and then they're like, so you're asking questions, and they're
also remember the Stonewall in New York, the gay bar, was always raided by police because it was illegal for gay people to gather in groups of, I don't remember how many it was, 2, 4, something very small number. So the police would routinely raid the inn, and the inn would routinely pay them off. Then they'd go away. Then they'd have good business. Then the police would routinely raid them. Then they would routinely pay them off, so that this quote unquote illegal information and illegal activity could happen.
Yeah.
And then, as the story goes, apparently one time one of the officers just really, really made one of the drag queens mad.
Yeah.
And that's what started the Stonewall Rising.
Yeah. But I'm still going back to my original question. They're everywhere. You just drive down the interstate, you will see spa.
Yeah.
So what are people thinking when they go to these spas? Probably not, I've got a sore neck, I've got a bad back, my arm hurts, I need an adjustment.
So what you're saying is that most of the patrons of these places are after some sort of sexual gratification.
That isn't it? Don't you think?
Ending.
Don't you think that that's what it is? And that's illegal. Whether it should or should not be, we're not debating. I'm just saying it is. How are they operating with neon lights even?
Yeah.
So what are they doing to make people think that they're not doing that?
Well, they're probably like CJ was saying, Nurse CJ. Was saying is they're probably paying off cops.
You think that's what it is? That should be investigated.
Or county representatives.
Because if that's slavery going on, if that's a sex ring, if it's kidnapping, whatever you want that's going on, and it's probably all of that stuff, and they're paying off, and really, how could they make enough money to pay off? Some of these places can't even get a roof that doesn't leak, it looks like. But how are they doing that? I want to know. I want to know what's going on. We need to do some research. So here's the question.
Okay.
Should we go to one of those?
No.
So if I walked in the door, and I walk in, first of all, what would I say? I want a massage.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's keywords. I don't know if their customers are return customers. What happens when you go to one of these places and you walk in and they're going to be like, "Can I help you?" And you're like, "Yeah, you can help me."
So if you think that if you act aroused, that they'll click in and they'll be like, "Oh, he wants."
No, I don't know. What do they do? Because are any of these people licensed massage therapists?
Oh, I doubt it.
Okay, so are they allowed to represent themselves as massage therapists? Is that illegal?
Well, they're not saying they're a massage therapist. This is a spa.
So if you go in and they rub your back topless, that's not illegal. Is that kind of what goes on or supposed to go on?
I don't know. I thought that in the state of Georgia, that like for instance at the strip clubs,
you're right. They can't touch you.
They can't touch you
if they don't. Maybe I don't.
No.
That's what I want to know. What goes on?
Patrons can't touch you.
Right.
But I think you can touch patrons.
So they got to just lay there,
with your
which
boobies.
is totally fine with me. But I just feel like I want to know more information. This is happening out in the open. It's not like a closed door thing. It's out in the. I just want to know what. Do we have listeners who have gone to? I want to know what goes on at the spas.
If we have listeners who have done this, please email us at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com.
You don't have to use your name. I just want to know the information.
Use a fake
when you
email.
walk in, what do you say? Do you just say, "Hi, I need a massage," and they're like, "Wink, wink, okay." Do they understand? And does every visit end with a happy ending? Or what goes on? Is there more to it? Do they get naked and massage you, and then you pay them and leave? I want to know what goes on.
Okay.
And I don't really want to go.
You don't want to go to find out.
I'm afraid I'll get coronavirus or something like that.
Oh God.
No, but I've thought about it. I thought for the sake of investigation, we should go and find out.
Scientists.
They're all over Atlanta.
It's just scientific research.
I want to know.
Also, the sex traffic capital of the
It
United
is.
States.
That's
Yes,
what I'm
it
saying,
is.
and that
Yes, it is.
that particular profession is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And so it's why I feel like it's so connected with sex and sexuality and all the stuff. I don't want to insult anybody who's in that business, but it seems like a form of prostitution, maybe a legal form of prostitution. And why is it legal? I mean, I think prostitution should be legal. I don't have a problem with it. But why is that legal? What are they doing? What's going on in there?
Yeah.
Let me in.
Let me in. But you just said you didn't want to go.
I don't want to go. I just want to know.
No, he wants in the knowledge.
Oh. Okay.
I want to know what goes on. I want to know, is the happy ending mandatory? Because if it is, I don't see how they can not be shut down.
I agree.
Because somebody knows it, and the cops gonna shut
Like,
them
do
down.
they offer that at the end of every
It's
single
like on the
massage?
menu? Yeah,
It's like, an extra $30.
I don't know. That's
I'd like the sugar rub.
yeah. Ow, that would hurt. Anyway, I just feel like that. There's. I want to investigate. I want to know if there's someone who's listening to the podcast who has actually been to one. No judgment. We just want to know what happens. You don't have to tell your name. We won't say your name on
You
the
could
air.
just say it was a friend that went and told
A
you
friend,
everything. A friend.
your dad,
Yeah.
Mom. I don't know. Maybe your mom worked in it. I just want to know, and maybe there might be some information online about what happens. We
There's
should
this
look.
thing called Google.
Yeah,
You could
that's what
probably
happens
find-
at the end of it. You get Googled.
You Google.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's be done.
I want to know.
I'm hungry.
Are you hungry?
I am.
All right. Well, we should wrap it up. Let's talk about what we think of the beer.
I'm gonna
Corona
say
beer. Look at mine.
I have drank most of mine, mostly because it's hot up here.
Yeah.
Oh. Speaking of toilet paper that we talked about earlier today,
Is this necessary?
why couldn't the toilet paper cross the road?
Because it's toilet paper, and toilet paper doesn't cross the road.
Because it got stuck in a crack. See, I told you people love these jokes. Yes.
Dumb. It's so dumb.
Yes.
All right. What do you think of the beer? Speaking of crack.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it like a 1.5.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
out of 5.
Do you want to rate it? We rate between 1 through 5. What would you think?
0.5 because it's like Bud Light
0.5.
without the nausea.
Okay.
Okay. That's a positive. The without the nausea part. Yeah.
I'm giving it a 3. I liked it more than I thought I was gonna like it.
No.
I don't know why. Maybe it just hit me and I needed it. It's very watery, but it just, I like the taste and it was kind of good. And I'm kind of mad because I don't like Corona and I liked it. I kind of liked it.
Okay. Well, you have that internal battle with yourself later.
I would also like to have nonstop genital pain when I have sex.
Would you really?
Yeah,
You're gonna go
apparently,
with that one?
I guess.
Okay.
No, I don't know why I liked it so much. Maybe I'm just thirsty, but anyway.
There are clamps for that.
Yeah, there are clamps for that.
Okay. Thanks for listening to the show. If you want to follow us, we're on Facebook. That's where we hang out a lot. We're also on Instagram. You can listen to the shows on YouTube.
We'll you just can't see us.
No, we do have a video or two up there, and we'll be doing some more videos very soon
with better angles.
I feel like we should do a special St. Patrick's video.
Okay.
If I can get you to come over and we'll drink a little St. Pat. Let's review an Irish beer for St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, but you got to pay for my gas because I'm broke.
Okay, I'll pay for your gas because you're broke, and that's what we'll do.
Okay.
What else we're on Instagram? Did we say that? And Twitter rarely. Yeah. But we have a Twitter account, so you can follow us if you want.
I'm not a twit, though.
Let us know if you're out there. Let us know if you listen to the show. Let us know if you have the coronavirus. We're interested. And especially, I want to know what goes on in the spas. Tell me what goes on in the spas, if you could.
And let's also thank Nurse CJ for coming and giving us all the information.
Yeah. I feel more equipped now to deal with the COVID-19.
Do you think you'd want to come back and visit us again?
It would be so much fun.
Well,
okay. I would enjoy it.
We got some, well, first of all, we're always sick.
I know.
So we need to have somebody to come and tell us what's wrong with us.
Can you come give me subcutaneous fluids? Oh, wait, no, that's an animal thing. That's not a person.
It works on humans, too.
But you don't have as much of a separation between skin and tissue.
Trust me, nurses, we can find it.
You can find it. All right. Nurses can find anything.
We've got free stickers. If you want stickers, just please send us an email and list your mailing address. We'll send them to you free.
Oh, we did get hit up on Facebook today.
Really?
By Gary, who says that he's still waiting for his stickers that you mention on every podcast.
I know. What
that will give you stickers, but guess how long he's been waiting?
You know what it is?
What?
I've had the coronavirus for the last 3 or 4 months.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't been able to send stickers, but I'm going to try to get those. You know, I saw the message yesterday, and I was going to send them yesterday, and then I forgot again. And then today I forgot.
You know, this isn't making Gary feel good.
Hi, we're going to wrap up the show now. Sorry, Gary. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Bye. Who wants to say bye?
Bye.
Bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.